finally, what up, all you random rockers out there? Sorry for the lack of good lighting here. The hat don't help, but it's fine. Welcome to, finally, the best of 2023. Shit. Well, to subscriber James, congratulations, you got your wish. Anyways, yeah. For some of you out there wondering, where is the new sleep token? It's not on this list. It's not on this list. It's not on any of my lists. I couldn't. You can't have a track as abysmally bad as Do You Wish That You Loved Me. And yet there are still people praising the fuck out of this album when there's one big ass blemish on it, and you're okay with putting an album with that kind of a track on it as your number one. Some of you know who you are and are much bigger than me to not even care, but whatever. That being said, and I just can't stand I'm fine with the vocals, but I can't stand the people that are praising these vocals that were willing to bitch about Benjamin Bentley and Breaking Benjamin, when literally this guy's vocals are essentially that by way of doing a Sam Smith impression. And it's just irks me that between that track and then there's that. And I forgot the name of this other band, or else I'd recommend them, but it's more of a female, so-called female sleep token, as Metal Bird referred to them. And those vocals I prefer over the sound of something like this for the most part. I'm not going to be as harsh as Fantano, but I'm not going to be as kind per se as... I'm not going to be as harsh as Violrec either, though I agree that, the new Avenged Sevenfold's better, if my honorable mentions did not make that clear. Now, however, I will like to address what I still have your attention. I know about the doxing situation, and yes, the doxing thing sucks. Sucks. And yeah, I feel sorry for 3 in that regard, and the rest of the band having to put up with this drum bullshit, and the person who would bring out that birth certificate, putting that birth certificate public, should pay the price for his sins. Since in ruining the experience of this band for everybody else. Speaking of that, they made it pretty clear they're not done, because they announced a headlining tour with a band I'm actually more willing to see than them, Empire State Bastard. They're in my high honorary albums of 2023. If you check out that post there, I will leave both honorable mentions and high honorary albums in the links in the description. Post for those. And, yeah, or you can check out my Instagram. Those are already up, and I think some of you who were lucky to be on IG or my Facebook got a nice preview of what is the best of the year. There were some little, and yeah, I'm done talking about this thing, and I may give them a shot live, but we'll see how I feel about it. But, yeah. We're going to move on to some high honors that I forgot to put on my high honorary albums post. Or at least for sure the one on Facebook I didn't get a chance to redux. Which I did with this one from Pupil Slicer, Blossom. Great mathcore. I look forward to seeing what they have coming out of them in the future. Zach Brown's Boys of Faith. That man apparently makes great EPs. As far as making something consistent in terms of full-length records, that still is to be seen. Don't get me wrong, the tracks that are on there that are really damn good, that have been getting the traction that they do deserve it on that record. But yeah, that's definitely one I would. And they're not the only country artists I decided to talk about. The other one I almost thought of putting on my list of the best of the year, Coulter Wall, Little Psalms. Little Psalms. Yeah, I have to make my cowboy hat a little more worthwhile here, and you'll definitely notice it on what is the best of for the year. Yeah, it's almost 5 minutes. I've gone on too long, but yes, definitely give this guy a shot if you like the old school stuff. Um, Mental Meltdown is not wrong for having put this in his honorable mentions. I do think he should have put, as far as the non-metal albums he's put. But anyways, now we can move on to technically the best of 2023 and top 10-ish I put on this thing. I doubt you can see it from here, but which is fine. I'm calling it the best of the year, but we're gonna do it in a top 10 style. But they're not all exactly 10 albums per se. So yeah. Let's see, which way am I? Yeah, I got it this way, I think. Hold on, guys. Yeah, we're doing this right. And what we're going to do is start with number 10. We got a theme going on here. I don't know if you can see it from here. I doubt you can because it's in pen and not. But it's number 10 is Bring On the Doom, ladies and gentlemen. Number 10. And what we have from the Doom is a stoner band named Church of Misery from Japan, born under a mad sign, and God Theorem's Distortions. See that? Yeah. Yes, this definitely gave me more crowbar-y vibes. This really is some Black Sabbath worship at its best. Though that Sodus, aka the Smoking Community, they were close enough, I guess. I think I wound up putting them in my honors, or were they in my honorable mentions? I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah. If you're into that, some sludgy epic doom or some Japanese stoner doom, or stoner rock, kind of mix of both, between both. Yeah, these records will definitely do you in, which leads us to number 9. Yeah, let me move some shit around here. Leads us to number 9. Whee! Stop talking to me. Which is extreme prog metal. Those are in the forms of Tomb Mold, The Enduring Spirit, which I think is better than this record. I just decided I needed to put this on here because musically, yeah, it's top 10 worthy. Production wise, I gotta give it more to Tomb Mold, Enduring Spirit. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on this album's name, and for some reason the band, I shouldn't. I had it memorized. I hate when I do this. If you want to put it in a comment section, I understand. Excuse me. But yeah. I hate when I do that. I tell you. I'm serious. I shouldn't, especially when it's the best of the year, but it happens. If you want more information, you can just check my Instagram and stuff, because I try to make this video as short as I can. But yeah, these are the best in the extreme side of prog metal to me, even though this band was technically more old school, new wave of old school death metal. This band's follow-up to Idols, even though I like Idols a little bit better from even a production standpoint, I can't say that I don't blame them for this being that musical direction that they went in, to follow that up. I'm one of the few times I'm more understanding of Fantano, whether I would pick this over that, but as like a whole experience. But if this production on here went on this record, I would definitely, without question, have this on my list. Just this, and maybe I would have put that in honorable mentions. Maybe, but yeah. It just bothers me that it's gonna bother me that I'm blanking on this one. So I understand. I'm understandable if you have to say it in the comment section. Thank you very much. But if not, it's got its name. The name is in the horrendous. At least I got the band. I can't remember pronouncing the name of the album is gonna be difficult though. But yeah, it's Horrendous's latest. I'm glad I figured it out before we go through Drama 2. Number 8, speaking of more prog, we're going into what I'm going to refer to as smooth prog metal. Prog metal acts that are essentially unlike the ones I just mentioned are a little bit more easier to digest and more accessible. In fact, some of them you can dance to. And what better than, a band that literally was in the top 10 of Eurovision. And that would be this past year. And that would be Voyager and their album Fearless in Love. On top of, but even more so, for those who like a more poppier rock experience, power poppy feeling experience, as opposed to more danceable types, but still worth getting a good body moving. Aviation's Luminaria. Those do have some extreme moments, and same here, but they don't go about it nearly as much as the last two albums I had talked about. And yeah, then I would definitely give these albums more. That's why these are higher, because they are easier and much more accessible and more of a shot. And they just kind of had more catchier hooks and stuff to kind of stick into your brain. This one's big track for me is at least Deep Cut Wise Submarine. The track they went in with to start with their thing with Eurovision that put them number 9 for Australia. Definitely is a great smorgasbord of their styles, actually, of mixing a lot of very 80s flavored in its choices and very electronic based in terms of its choices of prog and metal, for sure. Definitely considered progressive metalcore, but they've kind of but I think they're more prog metal lenient than metalcore lenient. But especially if they in the roots of power metal, and if they are metalcore, it's more electronic core based, and with some djenty staccato-y things, but not nearly as much. And Aviation's does have the djenty thing. I would say, if in Aviation's case, if you're already a fan of Periphery, of the more poppier and more easier to digest aspects of Tesseract and Periphery, as well as more and even some instrumental aspects that remind me of Intervals and Polyphia, then you'll definitely like Aviations for sure. Moving on to number 7. Dumb Spooks. I try to make eyes. Hopefully they don't look like the thing that rhymes with doobies. Anyway. And that, my friends, involves these spooks. And of the two, I would give this one a little bit more than the other one. So, actually, speaking of the thing that rhymes with doobies, yeah, this monstrous little thing here is back. You found a way, local boys. Lion's Daughter's Bathhouse and Creeper's Sanguivar. I'd give Sanguivar a little bit more of a chance, because if you liked what I said about the whole catchy, hooky thing about the last couple albums, you'll definitely, especially if you like Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell, and you want a little bit more of a goth rock opera thing going on, meet your new best friend here. If you are feeling a little more experimental and, want your spooks in a more extreme fashion, that's, a little bit more authentic feeling than what you would probably get from a certain particular metalcore band that's name escapes me for some reason. Oh no, it hasn't. It's Nice Nine Kills. But anyways, yes, I would definitely give these guys a shot. I definitely would say that at least Creeper stepped up their game from Sex, Death, and Infinite Void. Bathhouse, I mean, I could definitely tell that they don't have that Season of Mist production on there, because I wonder if it did have it, it might have been an even better record. But as it stands, it was independently made. But for being independently made, though, that sounds pretty damn good still. Even if I don't feel, even this grew on me still. It may not have been able to hit the heights that their last record did, but the fact they're even, worthy enough that I would make them in my best of the year list should speak volumes that the Lion's Daughter is a band to watch out for, and I'm proud to say that I'm from the same area as these guys. I will tell you that much. And anyone who's from around close to the St. Louis area, you should be too. And now we move on to number 6, ladies and gentlemen. This one doesn't have a theme like some of the other ones I've just discussed. Some of them won't, some of them will. I forgot to mention that, but better late than never in the video. Hopefully you're all still Wanted to pay attention. Number 6. Speaking of catchy things that I have mentioned earlier in the past couple things, if I can get this thing. Mammoth 2, ladies and gentlemen. From Mammoth Wolfgang Van Halen. Van Halen! Anyways, yes. This was a good... This also grew on me like the Lion Starter record. More than I thought. Like, I felt like I could not put this in the best of the year. In terms of rock, at least. Yeah. This was definitely just... It just hit all the buttons to hold me over till Alter Bridge ever comes up with something, I guess. Which is going to be a while since Creed's back, but... And yes, I'm looking forward to that concert regardless, because my inner adolescence, you know... I gotta treat him somehow. And yeah, he's great live. It's a shame I never got a chance to hear the stuff from this record live when they got to perform. Like, it was 2 weeks out before they started promoting this thing. But oh well. It was a fun concert that I got to see with him opening for Alter Bridge. And the opening band they had was pretty good too. They were probably louder than both of those bands, but it kind of worked in their favor sonically for some reason. Now top 5, ladies and gentlemen. With number 5 is back to themes. Theme being eccentric metal. Not quite prog, but kind of experimental, but not really necessarily. And I couldn't not put both of these records in the same bin of what they are. And for me, those albums are Mutoid Man's Mutants and Pedro Dragonic Apocalypse. I need some water after that. God. From King Gizzard and Elixir Wizard. Anyway. Yes, they like good stoner thrash, bordering like kind of psychedelic thrash maybe. And then there's this that's kind of like a mosh between speed metal and sludge. Definitely both, which is very interesting. Kind of has a nice little, like, or at least that kind of sort of current modern hard rock alt metal that's rooted in sludge and speed. And it's both are super catchy in their own rights as well. And that's what makes them distinctive for me. I know some people probably wanted to talk about the last record that King Gizzard put out in November, but the Silver Cord was it. But I just never cared for anything they didn't do that wasn't really them deciding to go into metal and actually do really well. I figured I'd give this a shot since I gave the last time they did metal in Infest the Rat's Nest a shot. And this kind of sort of is a sequel. Some people kind of botch on it, but honestly, I don't know. No, this thing just was hard to not put down, as was Mutants. It's from Mutoid Man, and I will say I did give Mutoid Man's rest of the record a shot. I totally understand if some people still prefer Breeder over it, but yeah, this was a good return, especially coming off of the year prior to this with the Cave In record, since of Stephen Brodsky and everything. And I think Stephen Brodsky might be one of my favorite singers I never had a chance to give a shot at. So, in this kind of scene for metal and hardcore. But anyways. I mean, just any of these songs here. You're good with anything here. I mean, I love Siren's song. It's pretty catchy on this one, and stuff like that. And Gita the Monster is still pretty catchy. Just for examples. Now we're on to number 4. Everyone wants to like. Grammys are willing to still give Metallica stuff, but when it pisses me off is that none of the newer thrash acts that are actually doing it right aren't giving it enough love. And to me, that band, that was just hard not to put on here at number 4, is Enforced War Remains. Just... Whew-wee. I really like this thing a lot. And it just, if you love your old school Metallica and your Slayer and Hell, they pretty much, since we're not going to get a new, I'm blanking on the other band that was blowing up too. They had Swing of the Axe. You'll know what I'm talking about if I can remember the name of them. But since they're never going to probably be able to release a new album again, that band, Enforced have pretty much taken up the crown of this newer wave of thrash, and they deserve it. They already kind of won me over for making a genuinely good record, good album last time with Killgrid, having come out on my birthday of that year. Thank you very much for that birthday present, by the way, Enforced. And you topped that. So with this one, and I think come out the same month, but like a couple weeks later after that, weirdly enough. Or was it in April? I can't remember, but they really stayed in that regard. But I do remember this record enough that it deserves to be one of the best things that came out this year, and definitely for thrash as well. And number 3, we have, ironically, 3 albums we're going to be talking about. And this theme is, yes, metalheads and certain hard rockers. A genre that most people would dread because they don't understand it. They never grew up to it in the 90s like I did. And some part of the 2000s, but I mostly don't wish to speak of that. At that point in time, there's very few and far between good that was around that time frame. But yes, it's country. I know those country albums, and I wish it was Stapleton, and I almost thought of putting Little Songs, man, but Jason Isbell, once again, does it again for me with Weather Vanes. And it pisses me off that, we all gave fucking Aldean a platform with that one stupid fucking song that he didn't even write to be able to defend anyway. Yet we should be giving more praise for one of the best songs of the year. He bitched about one of the other songs that got big, that conservatives pushed, that I liked better than the Aldean song, but it's not Save the World, guys. It's not Save the World. Hell, he even bitched about the second verse that Oliver Anthony did on Richmond, North of Richmond. That's just the song I'm talking about. So, and yeah, he has a right to if you've heard the second verse of Save the World. I mean, yeah, trust me on that. And then, of course, Charles Wesley Godwin. I said Goodwin the last time when I was talking about the ketchup, and I apologize. But Family Ties, Minor Imperfections, and even their freaking cover of one of the best of Country Roads Take Me Home ever is on here. For sure. Just from start to finish, this thing just oozes some of the best in country, modern country, that is good. But the album that really got me going, I was able to recommend to even my Burn Pig co-host for good country. And he was able to even share the love to his relatives. Gabe Lee, Drink the River. Man. Music Row needs to have pushed this guy instead of Morgan Wallen. I'm telling you that right now. He's so good. And some of his voice reminds me of the Andrew Huang guy, if he took up country. Those who know in YouTube land, like the guy that's been does poppy and other more popular genres, sort of consoles and mixing things and stuff, and that's kind of what Gabe Lee's vocals reminded me of, because I heard about that Andrew Huang guy first before I ever heard about Gabe Lee. And yeah, if Andrew Huang decides to do country, he should take some notes from this guy. The Wild is great opener. The title track is great. Jesus Has Got the Blues, dude. That's a good, and the Poverty Line are some good upbeat tracks. Poverty Line's a good, closer, because the second verse is kind of funny, and so it kind of leaves you with a smile to crack on. So but it also leaves you something heartfelt that just stabs you right in the heart like Marigold. Just, Hell, the first half leading up to Marigold was really great. I mean, Eveline's still pretty good too, but yeah, this is what a good country album should sound like right here. At least in that old school kind of way, you know, just and how it should be produced in today's day and age too. You know, just if like for people who just say country's not gonna be good, these 3 albums and that Culture Wall record, as well as like Feel Good Country from Sunday Best, are what you should look into for good country music. Some leaning into more rock territory, and some traditionalistically, but still kind of indie-ish in the indie-ish side, but can kind of lead into mainstream in a good way. This is good shit. And I'm getting tired of people like settling for less like Morgan Wallen. It's fucking pissing me off, guys. It really is. It's making me want to turn my cowboy hat fucking backwards. It's so fucking stupid how some of you guys are about it. And I think you should give these guys a shot. Like, these is what you need to have listened to in 2023. Because it was a good year for country. And just some of y'all just... And it bums me I couldn't even put a Stapleton in here. White Horse is still a good track. I just wish the rest of it lived up to that. And yet alone everything from front to back that is his previous works. It bums me. But, you know, I can't be too mad because we got these, you know. And that's what I got to say about that. Moving on to number 2. And for those who've seen my YouTube recap, because I don't do Spotify Wrapped, I only use it as a backup plan if I can't find anything somehow on YouTube Music. But, yeah. Number 2. No theme on this one. Number 1 is kind of sort of themed, but we'll get to that in a minute. Number 2, I initially, to think it's been almost over a year since this record too. And yet it did get bested, but the fact that it's still somehow up here, there's a reason for it, because, let me tell you, it's, of course, Sky Void of Stars by Catatonia. And yes, I still like this thing very, very much, and I can't not knock it. I almost thought about putting it not on the list and not possibly lower on this list, but this is the album that finally made me understand Catatonia for me. And it does pain me that some people who did completely knock this record, I don't understand you, and I don't want to understand you. Because why would I, when this did what it needed to do for me and make me actually give a shit about Catatonia and made me re-listen and rethink things over about some of their previous discography? I finally understand why people in the Death Doom scene praise the album Necrophil was on. Hell, that might have something to do with me finally having adjusted and started to get more into Opeth. And adjust to those screaming styles, especially through Blackwater Park. And this record just reminded me, and plus the lead work on this thing is just super tasty. Super, super tasty. The cleans are this definitely has a very more epic doomy feel in regards to its sound, but it's definitely very progressive alt metal still. There's definitely that Toolish thing they're still kind of flirted with some other ideas from their past record, but this record is definitely better. Initially going into it, from some of the singles, they didn't, or at least the ones I did hear, didn't do a whole lot for me. But it was one of the lead singles that wound up being the start of this record. That's when it hit me. And I was able to flow into the rest of the record perfectly well in a good way. And the middle of this record is definitely the highlight of the peak of this fucking record for sure. Even though the way it still ends itself off, is still also very, very tasty. But for me, yeah, it's damn good, but it wasn't number 1. At number 1, I have 3 albums, but I forgot to print off one of them, so I got to do something special for that other thing. We got an album, an EP, and a single. We're going to start with the single, and that single is Yes, Knock Loose. That was my single of the year, man. That whole Upon Lost singles. Oh. My also excuse to pull out the Dane Schwing Daddy wig. Don't know if I need to get it rearranged. May have to. I don't know if it's an excuse to talk to Max or not. And she did wigs for theater people. Almost did one for Maynard, which would have been cool. Anyway, but enough of that shit. One of the reasons why I had a slightly shitty 2033, right? And speaking of things that helped me get through that, with number one, the EP was, as of course you would all know if you've seen my review, Better Lovers. God Made Me an Animal. Yeah. This thing still kicks ass, and I'm looking forward to when the full length comes out. Even though the single for that full length that came out around the end of the year really didn't do as much for me as this EP, but I'm hopeful for the rest of what comes out. It's still good, but it's not this. And plus, speaking of Greg Pachado, I'll eventually get to what a nice little something in 2024 that came out. Trust me. You know when you know. It's actually kind of tasty. I'll talk about that later. But, yes, I've said enough on this EP. Just, first two tracks are definitely brilliant. I do feel like the closing title track does enough. And just certain lines and things that were just said here that just hit me really hard. But at the same time, I also want to say that, but it's a great EP, but it's not a full length. And I needed a good full length, something that could hit me the same way that I hadn't been hit, honestly, truly, since 2020 with Spanish Love Songs, Brave Faces, everyone. And something did come close, though, this year. That even by the end of the record, I couldn't do it. And it's also another reason why I have my issue with Sleep Token. And any of you who've seen the voting, what you had to vote for at the Nick Turner Awards, knows what I'm talking about. Holding absence, the noble art of self-destruction. Yeah. The moment I heard this and the moment I heard how the lyrical content was, nothing hit nearly as well to me, sonically and in that same way. Not even from Spanish Love Songs this year, though knew it was still great, and I had to at least put it in my high honors. I was almost just considering putting it in my honorable mentions, but I knew it was still great, and I just felt wrong putting it in honorable mentions. I had to put it in the high honors. So when it comes to the Spanish Love Songs record, but yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to go back to the hat because you're not going to take me seriously with this. Just off even the final track itself, The Angel and the Marble, which should have won that award and not Sleep Token, damn it. Y'all fucked this band over. And it's kind of pissing me off. When they apparently, from what I'm told, have been consistent since those previous two records, and this is the final of that trilogy, and I've yet to hear those two records, but I will tell you, definitely will, and hopefully this, what I have to say does hold up with this, or have said already at least. Which is the track that the title of this album takes itself from. It's just, and plus, you can't, an album that was willing to end with the lines, I am a puzzle, I am a painting, I am a work of art in the making. And your heart doesn't sink or skip a beat. The fuck is wrong with you? God damn. Plus, it just reminds me of what was good post-hardcore pop screamo of the 2000s. For me, at least, you know. I don't expect that from everybody. But, you know, this is the sad boy shit that This is the good sad boy shit that people should be talking about and shouldn't be fucking sleeping on. And Holding Absence, you did great. I mean, I've had a chance to listen to you as much as some of the other albums, and as my recap would have stated, but what you did, even from its first listen and the second one, I could not put you up here. I couldn't. I couldn't. Just. And just, and just dealing with what the scene does normally in general. Just. The singles are great. Honeymoon's great. I want to slow dance to that fucking thing with my special lover, whoever that may be, if you're out there. And, yeah. And then, even though the first single that was on this record is probably the catchiest and hookiest thing ever. Just, oh my God. Just such a beautiful album, dude. It also, in its own way, got me through some of the same kind of shit that, Better Lovers found a way to do, And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, finally, it's the end. That is the best of 2023, and I can officially move on and talk about 2024. Yeah. There wasn't too much that happened in January, but we're going to get to it. But first, I got to get to a big release that came out this past week by the time this finally airs, and y'all know what that is. In fact, a lot of people are anticipating it even since the end of the year. And the start of the year, technically. Whether or not for the better or for worse, maybe not Elon Musk, but you know what I mean. And you'll know, and it's already been talked about a lot. I'm probably going to be late on the train, but I have my reasons here, so. Yeah. And all these albums are records you should be giving a shot to, And all the other honorable mentions, and even anything in the honorable mentions and my high honors, if you have those on there, I'd be happy to, if on your list. But yeah, what was on your best of 2023? What are your honorable mentions? What are your high honors, or albums that go from, I guess we'll go with from 50 to 11. That's kind of where my high honors would kind of count as. Something of that nature, or if we want to go even further than that, well, and then anything from 51 to 100 would be honorable mentions, I guess. But yeah, what is your thoughts on my list? What is your list? Leave it a comment below, let me know. If you like this video, rock that like button with us if you must, and as always, guys, keep it random, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I'll see you in the next video. Whatever that may be. And, yeah. Which is going to be something for 2024, I'm sure. And I hope y'all so far had a happy new year, up to a degree. Despite the sleep token stuff and blah, 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 blah of other things that have happened. Even from Green Day, and yes, I'm going to get to that. And, yeah. Take care, y'all. Hope your 2023 is alright, and, hopefully your 2024 is even better. American election, be damned. God, I really hope it doesn't lead to a civil war. But let's not talk about that. Heavy faces. See you later. Sorry to dower you on that one. Bye.